Hey guys, me again, Orc Slayer. What ifs? Where we last left off? Let's see. Checking. So the next part will be a continuation of the Lament or What If, where I left off, where Deku and Izumi went to bed. That's the next episode or part I'm making after this. I'm gonna get a little bit more done with the What If Deku was Killer Croc, and I saw that actually did relatively well, and I'm happy that some of you said that you did enjoy the gameplay instead of just like stagnant picture. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. So if you guys want, actually, that the next thing that will be on this should be a Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I actually really like the game. So if you guys just want to, well, just tell me in the comments that if you guys actually like it, like watching Star Wars: The Old Republic while I play it, because I generally do enjoy that game very much, and I'm doing the Clone Trooper gameplay. So I'll play the game, and you guys can just watch it. It's pre-recorded, of course, like it's just game, like images to like keep your mind help. Anyways, where I last left off, Deku. Hizashi left Inko left Deku at a orphanage because he looks nothing like Hizashi or herself. They don't know why he's like that, but she knew she couldn't take care of the kid, so she sent him off to an orphanage, and that's where he ended up with Sister Josephine. Years later, after traveling around Japan with Sister Josephine, they get into a fatal accident where Sister Josephine is dang near pulverized from how bad a truck hit her. And we all know Truck-kun. He's out for blood. But Deku goes to a foster home. That foster home, of course, doesn't take very good care of him. Kids bully, berate him, and Deku just went along with it because he believed in what Sister Josephine had taught him, is that he should try to refrain from violence, anger, pettiness, all that. And that's because Sister Josephine was actually a nun. And she like tried to teach him. She taught him a bit of the ways of Christianity and God and all that. I won't get into particular of which like branch of Christianity she is, whether she's Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, whatever. She's just a Christian, let's just say, to simplify it, because let's just leave it like that. But she taught about loving and accepting all others, no matter what flaws they had. Because when she had this conversation with them, she's like, even though Deku looks like a she didn't want to hurt his feelings, but she told him the truth, that he looks quite intimidating and scary. But to not judge people on their appearances, because if everybody did that, they would never see how great of a person he was. And he took those words to heart, that he believed everybody should be given at least a chance or so, since he was never given those chances. Sorry about that. Got a call. Where was I? Ah, yes. Deku's lessons on judging people, because he himself is a terrifying creature, as he would put it. And so we cut to the future after Deku had finished mauling a few people since they destroyed the cross that he was given by Sister Josephine. Sorry if I used a different name. Her name is Josephine. And he lost it, attacked them, almost killed one, and severely injured the rest. To a point that heroes called in. They thought he was a monster. Tried to apprehend him. He ran away, and then they saw how messed up the kids were and decided to divert their attention to them. So he gets to a point where he's hiding in the sewers, just hiding there, and has Sister Josephine's crumbled up, melted cross in his hands, as he's just trying to recite little things that she told him. To contain his anger, never let it out. And then he's found by Sludge, since we don't get a name from the guy, who he's just labeled as Sludge Villain. His name was Sludge, is what Deku, is what? Sorry. Is the name he gave to Deku. Anyways, as he went on and on, He ended up like agreeing to follow Sludge so that way Deku could find a place to stay for at least a little while. As Sludge leads the way, he leads Deku all the way to like a bad neighborhood where Sludge says that he and his crew hang around. And that this way Deku could have a way. And he tells Deku not to tell anybody his age. Because not even Sludge knows. And he says that if you're a young kid, don't say anything. Just stand there and be intimidating. That's all I need from you. It's like, alright. Deku just like shakes his head. He's like nods. He's like, mm-hmm. He's like, good. And try and keep up that growling thing. Alright, Killer Croc. As he gave Deku the villain name, I guess, Killer Croc. As he's like, He's like, good. Now come on. As he does like a sort of bellow like a crocodile. As he's like, now that's what I'm talking about. As he follows Sludge inside of the building, he sees that some of the people that hang around there, it's like, hey Sludge, how's it going? Is it like, oh, it's going good. It's going good. It's like, hey, so who's that kid? Who's the guy behind you? He's like, oh, this is Killer Croc. He's gonna be part of our gang. He's a pretty strong guy too. Tough. He's gonna take care of any... He's going to be the muscle when it comes to some of the things you pull off. Understood? It's like, you got it, boss. As Deku looks at him, he's like, yeah, I'm the sort of the boss around here. That means you listen to what I say. Got it? As he sort of pokes Deku's chest, he's like, understand, little big guy? As Deku just does another bellow. He's like, that's what I like to hear. Now, go on, where is she? Where is it? Aye, you, Looney. As a girl who... Deku would describe it as with tattoos all over her face. They got random patterns. She's like, what is it, boss? And she's like very hyper and excited. She's like, calm down, Looney. Listen, I need you to take him and get him up into set up in a room, preferably one of the bigger ones. He's gonna need a big bed. As he's like, ooh, he's big. He's gonna do a lot of stuff for us. He's like, yeah. Anyways, this Looney, her quirk is hyperactive. Have you ever seen a show called The Tasmanian Devil Kid? As Deku, like, from Looney Tunes, he, like, shook his head, he, like, gave a nod, he's like, She's like, pretty much her. She can spin around and go so fast she creates a miniature tornado around herself. And it's hard to hit her when she's in that mode. She's like, yeah. Come on, let's go, kid. As Deku looks at him, he's like, don't worry, she's not on anything. We just call her Looney because of how hyperactive she is, so don't worry. She won't eat your face or anything. As Deku gave a nod and follows her, she's like, so, what's your name? As Deku's just like, she's like, you just like to grunt, Boss give you a name? As Deku tries his best to keep his voice low and somewhat guttural, he's like, Killer Croc. As he's cringing at himself, man, that sounds so bad. She's like, well, Killer. Stay with us and you'll be just fine. Boss probably has enough plan cooking up with you here now. Probably gonna rob a store or maybe hold up another gang, whatever it is. As Deku just nods his head again, it's like, She's like, not much of a talker. Well, I gotta say it like that. I could probably talk enough for the two of us. She just goes on a hysterical laugh as Deku just gives a low chuckle. She's like, someone else who likes my jokes. All right. Well, here it is. As she like points the room, she's like, here you go, now have fun. As she walks away, she's like, try not to put any holes in the walls or floor or roof, whatever. As Deku's just like, as he rubs his forehead, he's like, is this right, Sister Josephine? Did I do the right thing by doing this? As he's thinking this, he goes to bed. Saying that, he probably really ain't that hungry. And he's on the news the next day where Killer Croc and them, like, not Killer Croc, but Sludge, like, turns off the TV from where they are trying to watch the news, where they heard about a guy, like some kid mauling others. And he's like, stop watching that crap. You know the kid's probably not going to have anything happen to him. As he looks over to Deku, as he nods his head, Deku just gives him a little nod back. He's like, alright. Here's the plan. I got another heist coming up. or a nice little hold up coming up. It's like, so from what I heard down under in the villain world, seems that some of the head honchos in one of the Yakuza organizations are moving a truckload of goods that they just recently nicked off another small time group. We're gonna hop in, we'll handle it. Killer Croc. Well, he's like Looney and Jaxter. Yeah, Jaxter. He's like, yeah, boss. He's like, you know what to do. Disorganized, disrupt, whatever you gotta do. As he calls him Jaxter because reasons. I can't really think of a name to call him Jaxter. I'm just thinking he's like Jackhammer, something like that. Try and go along with it. He can get his fist like really fast and just like thump them into the ground, like thump, 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 thump. And they can actually use it to break metal and such if he does it for a while enough. As Looney's like, yeah, got boss. Ooh, big score, right? He's like, it's not as big as we want it, but we'll have to survive. Killer Croc is like, yes, sir. As he turns his head, he's like, He's like, we're gonna have you in the sewer. Those guys trying to make a move, you come out and snatch him down and bring him down. Don't have to kill him unless you want that, killer. As Deku's just like, he's like, I don't want to kill people. I never want to hurt anyone, but it's just that. As he just like growls at the idea of the kids again, he's like, it's like, easy there, killer. Don't worry, we're all on the same team. As Looney pats his shoulder, she's like, all right, big fella, you ready to go? So he's like, It's like, good. Come on, guys, let's go. As Deku, let's say it's been a week since Deku was there, and the search for him has kind of died down a little bit, so that's when the guy has enacted his plan. He's like, alright, keep a watch over this kid. It's like, alright, kid, get down in the sewers, they're going to be coming this way. As it's late at night, so the chances of Deku being found are even lower. He understands, rips open the sewage panel and gets under. As he's like, okay. As he has like some form of communication, like a little radio. As they're speaking, it's like, so what is it? Sorry. No, I'm trying to yawn, and I was trying to think of what sound like would be intimidating for Killer Croc. I'm thinking he's like doing like that little hissing sound, the and then that little bellow they do. As he's just waiting there, as up top from Sludge's POV, he's like, alright, as he's cracking his neck. Oh, Looney, Jaxter, you ready? He's like, yeah, boss, we got this. As Jaxter gets his arms ready, as he can feel them like warming up and starting to do that vibrating, like jutting forward thing. He's like, okay, glad these metal gloves got me. And he's like, I'm alright, boss. As she's like cracking her knuckles and getting everything nice limber, she's like, ooh, I can't wait to see the kid in action. As they are ready to go, as he's like, alright, here they are. As he's standing in the middle of the road, as things are tipped over by his side, he's like, good evening, folks. May I have your attention? As he rubs his face, he's like, can I have your attention, please, gentlemen? As it's just a small group of Yakuza, nothing major. As he's like, hey, what you want, huh? Don't you know who we're part of? He's like, I don't really care. See, those goods you have, I want them. I'm going to take them, and you aren't going to do a thing about it. He's like, oh, piss off. As he like one of the guys goes to grab his gun, he brings it up and is ready to shoot Sludge, as in he turns into a sludge as he like melts down his like flat. It's like, what the heck is this? As they're about ready, then you got Looney that comes around, spins around, and disarms each of them. As she's like, you got it, boss. As Sludge immediately moves over, wraps himself around multiple of the people. It's like, as more of them pull out their guns, you got Jackhammer who hits their arms, breaking them. and breaking a few of the guns so that way they're not functional. It's like, as all of them have face coverings, Yakuza and Sludge and, or Deku and Co, whatever you wish to call him. Then you got Deku, who's hiding underneath. He's like, second, they say something. As in, they got a big guy with, it looks pretty tough, as is like, boss, you think we can take him? He's like, yeah, no. Ooh, must have been what I had for breakfast. As he's like, oi, Killer Croc, get out here. As the guys are like, Killer Croc. As in the the sewer drain breaks open as Deku gets up, grabs the big guy, who is a little bit smaller than Deku. Deku grabs him and bites into his shoulder and forces him to the ground. As he bites deep and hard, as the guy tries to scream, but Deku just takes the guy's head and slams it into the ground, knocking him out. As he stands up to fully straightening his back and even looking like he's trying to stand on his tiptoes a bit to make himself look even bigger, he does a nice little gator roar, or crocodile roar, as they're like, oh god, as they back up a bit and thinking, we can't fight this guy, we cannot fight this guy, as they're freaking out thinking, what do we do, as Sludge is like, now, about those goods, gentlemen. As they grab the stuff and run off, as he gives some of the heavier stuff to Deku, which the heavier stuff is just loads of money, like a pallet of money, let's just say. As Deku carries that with them, as they have that taken to their base, as now this is good. As they cut it up and Luna, Jackster, and Sludge. My nose is kind of clogged, so sorry. Dang allergies. They say that Deku, since it's his first time, they'll give him a bit extra cut. They'll give him 30% more. As they're heading back and having a bit of a celebration, they order some food and Deku's just quietly eating. As it's like, so, Killer, how'd you feel? As he just holds up a thumb up, it's like, yeah. Stick with us, kid. You'll be just fine. As Sludge kicks his feet up, as Jackster asks the question about what if the guys come back? And though Sludge doesn't think it's really a possibility, it's like, listen, we got plenty of money. We can keep people quiet where we are. Everything will be fine. Just have faith, Jackster. Have I ever steered you guys wrong? As they're thinking, it's like, he's has a point. As Deku just it's like, see, even the kid knows. So, Looney, have you guys heard any tips about something going down in the underworld? As they all look around, it's like, nothing that I can think of. What about you, Killer? As Deku just shakes his head. It's like, oh, well, you ain't talkative anyways. So, let's think. Brainstorm even. That pallet of money won't last forever. It's like, we could probably stretch it out if we try to ration it a bit. As he's like, Jackster, do you even know the meaning of that word? Actually, let's say Looney said it, and she's like, it means to use it sparingly? Do you know what sparingly means? She's like, yeah, that's what I think. Listen, leave the thinking to me, alright? I'm the plan guy, head honcho here, alright? Have faith in me and I'll steer you right. Sorry, my throat is really dry and I'm trying to drink spit. It sucks. As they're speaking, Deku just hears something, he's like, and he also smells something, he's like, as he does a little snort, he's like, get down. He does a rough thing, as he then shoves them all down and covers them, as then there's bullets flying, as it's ah, shit. See, I told you, they would follow us. As Deku takes a table and throws it out the window, he's like, bullets, annoying. As I said, he's making his voice more feral and guttural sounding, trying to make him seem less, like, not as young, as he's like 13, remember. As he's speaking, he's like, "What do we do?" As it's like, out the back door. As he covers their retreat, as a couple of guys burst in, and Deku takes his claws and racks them across the people who runs in. He racks it across their faces and chest. As he's like, "So long!" As he throws more stuff covering their retreat, as they all hop in a truck and get in, Deku jumps in the back and just gets a ride. He's like, "They ain't following us. Probably just there for the money." As it's like, oh, thank God. Oh, well, it seems like we're moving districts, boys. As they're like, "Hang on, we should probably throw tarp on the big guy. We saw him on the news yesterday." As Deku's like, "Oh, so they already know I'm young. But the enemies don't know that." As they throw tarp over him, like, thinking, he's like, "Alright." As Sludge and them move throughout, as I'm going to skip a year in the future, Deku has been running with these guys for a little while, and he's actually gotten, like, a pretty good friendship with each of them. He respects Sludge as, like, an older, troubled brother. He sees Looney as his crazy sister, and he sees Jackster as Jackster is the one who's actually teaching a bit more about life. As Deku's 14, and so when they're alone, he tries to teach Deku about, since Deku really isn't in school anymore, Jackster says that he used to be a teacher, but times hit hard and he had to, well, this. As he says that he had a family and all that once, but he made screw-ups and now he's here, living in a dump. As he's like living in this crumbling factory. It's too late for me, kid, but I think you got a chance to get out of this line of work. You talked about how you want to be a hero, as he trusts Sludge and all of them for different things. He'll talk with Looney about trying to cheer him up. He'll talk with Sludge about doing more and more. But he talks to Jackster about his ambitions. As he's like, "Don't worry, Deku." Or not Deku. "Don't worry, Croc. We'll get you out of this." But when they're in a group, they all refer to each other by their villain names. But when they're alone, they refer to Deku as either little brother or Izuku, like his first name. As little brother is mostly used by Looney and Sludge, while Izuku is used by Jackster, because he wants Deku to, as Jackster views Deku as someone not like a little brother who's less knowledgeable, but as well, a friend, someone who he trusts severely. As Jackster's like, "So, kid, you know that UA thing, you gotta do it when you're 18, right?" As Deku nods his head, he's like, "Gotta have good academics, so this day forward," as he pokes down at the table, "me and you will work on that. I knew a wide variety of subjects. I can keep you caught up with speed." He's like, "Well, how old are you?" As Deku's like, 14 now. He's like, "Alright, we'll start you off with this." As he hands him, like, assignments, quote unquote. As Deku actually nods his head, he's like, alright, Jackster." He's like, "It's just Jack." He's like, "So let's start off small. Who was," as we just continue on. As we skip 6 months later to where Deku's learning more and more. As they've done quite a few more jobs, Deku has somewhat caught of a minor reputation. Nothing too large, since they kept small. They didn't want to, like, try and become some of the big shots. They just wanted to get by and survive. Looney is, like, starting to get more sisterly with Deku, as she, like, jumps around, she even tried to dress him up at one point, as she said that she wanted to paint him pretty, as Deku had to run and hide in the sewer, saying that, no, rip that thing off and then just hid there. She's like, as they had to take, like, an entire day of Jackster and Sludge convincing him, no, Looney was not gonna paint him pink with polka dots, as Deku's like, "No, she said she was. I ain't doing it. Like, in Deku, you don't have to take that voice with us. We know who you are. She's like, fine, fine, fine. As his thing is still a bit more humanoid, but it still has a bit of that guttural feral sound. It's just not as pronounced as he makes it. It's like, yeah, I know, but still, she's creepy. You can't even deny it. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't change the fact she needs you. He's like, what does she need me for? Alright, listen, we got a job here. We need you to act like Looney's boyfriend. He's like, what? You see, Looney here has found a job that we could do. Stealing money from a drug dealer. As Deku's like, oh, God. And she wants you to seem like her boyfriend / underground fighter. As yes, this is the thing I typically do in my what ifs. Off my back. As it's like, alright, so how do we do this? He's like, alright, so she's gonna dabble you up. It's like, what does that mean? She's gonna put some gold and stuff on you, make you look like you're a fancy man. As Deku's like, this is gonna turn out so poorly. She's like, yeah, but they're gonna be there with trigger very, very addictive and dangerous drug. As he smacks Deku on the head, if I hear you take that, I'm going to turn you in a pair of boots, jacket, hat, and pants for 3 people. Do I make myself clear? As Deku's like, like, good. Now, come on. We gotta get you all loonied up. As Deku's like, this is gonna turn out bad. This is gonna turn out bad. Very bad. Why are we agreeing to this? As they get there with Looney in them, she's like, oh, so glad you could make it, Izu. As she's like sort of doing that hopping thing, she's like, I swear to God, half the time people think you're the drug addict. As they get there, the people trigger, as it's like one guy with like 2 henchmen there. As Jackster and Sludge are waiting, as Sludge has transformed into a slime form, of course, is just slithering around waiting to act. It's like, so kid, what you got? As Louie's like, well, I was hoping to get some of that good trigger stuff, get my boyfriend, all beefed up and ready to fight. As he's like, that's your boyfriend. As Deku does like a little snapping growl, as one of the henchmen like flinches back as he gives a deep chuckle as he's like, it's like, stop being such a scaredy cat. He's like, well, let me show you. As they get close, one of the henchmen has a hand on a gun as Deku snaps at him and growls at him as he takes his hand off it. As their faces are of course covered. Now, as the guy's about to go on, Sludge jumps in and covers 3 of them and starts suffocating them. As he's like, alright, get the stuff and run! As Deku knocks them all out, as one guy actually tried to make a quick reach for his gun and was able to go off, but Deku took the shot and just, snatched it away and bent it all up. As they took what they could and ran, as Sludge just stayed there, is like, I'll deal with these guys, don't worry. As well, he kills them because he knows that they're gonna recognize them. And as far as he knows, these guys aren't part of any bigger organization. As we skip forward, as we have a group of people show up. They're heroes, of course, who were given an anonymous tip by a group of people saying that they saw a suspicious-looking person. Or 2 of them. One was a woman, like, with weird pink-colored, very bright clothes and all that. And then the next was a very, very big man with claws, teeth, and looked like a weird crocodile thing. Or a dinosaur that transformed into a human. As we get over there, as there's Fat Gum, of course. And then we have someone else. King Gang Orca. As he's like, As he's rubbing his chin, he's like, Fat Gum says, I've been tracking these guys for a long while. From the looks of it, these guys were suffocated, not even beaten or anything. As Gang Orca says, could have been one of their quirks. As it's like, possibly, but I don't think so. From the sounds of it, these guys have something else. One looks like maybe a lot like you, Gang Orca. As he's like, huh, yeah, right. Like, well, crocodile features and orca features. Huh, that'll be interesting. And the other one was a woman with very bright clothing. Like, yep. Hyperactive, it seems. As they're like, As they look up and they see outside that there is a camera outside, like, is that real? It's like, I highly doubt there's any footage, but we'll see what we can get from it. As we cut to them, like, tracking down to where this camera footage is, as, in fact, it works, but it's a very old camera and its footage is not the best. So they do what they can and... Sorry. Ugh. They do what they can and see the very... They can obviously tell the people match their descriptions, but they see where the guys came earlier and how they were carrying a few things. As they found the drugs and stuff there, but it looks like they did bring money, because Luna, or Looney, said that she did have her own goods to sell. As it's like, well, these guys match description. These guys are obviously drug dealers. He's like, I'll see if I can send this. We can find people to get this to get better quality, but I highly doubt, sir. As is like, you did the best you could, kid. Don't worry. As Fat Gun rubs his forehead as he's eating some of that like chocolate stuff, he's like, what do you think, Gang Orca? He's like, this one looks familiar. The photo, how the guy was described. I heard a story a while back about some kid like attacking another group. From sounds of it, the kids claimed that they were innocent, that they were minding their own business. But we actually got camera footage there too. It's like, really now? He's like, yeah, apparently the guys did something with a quirk and that sent the kid in a blind rage. I've actually been trying to track him down for like better course of half a year, but I haven't had any luck. He's like, kid's probably bullied and such, and from the looks of it, if this is him, he's fallen in with the wrong crowd. They always do. This Gang Orca's rubbing his chin. He's like, probably would have been me. As he's like, well, it actually was me. As he thinks back to his youth, when he was like a really young kid, around Deku's age, he's like, I had the same exact problems. As he just gives himself a chuckle, he's like, well, no point dwelling on it now unless we actually find the kid. He's like, go get some rest, Gang Orca. I'll check in with the guys later on. We could both use some sleep. As Gang Orca's like, I'll go out and do a bit of hero work, and I'll hit the sack. See you later. Fat Gum as like, yeah, later, Gang Orca. As they're both just rubbing their eyes, as Gang Orca's like, I wonder what happened if I could meet the kid. Maybe I could. Highly doubt it, but maybe I could convince him to join me. As Deku's like, everything down. One step down. Or one day done. Another day till UA. As he's thinking, he's like, he's gonna apply for it. He's gonna do his best he can do. By also trying to like keep his identity as a villain to the down low. She's like, hopefully I can make you proud, Josephine. See, he goes to bed as well. As that's where